Good afternoon. I am delighted to be joined by Jonathan Morgan today. Hello, Jonathan.
Hiya, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for coming on and spending a few minutes with me to talk about Agents Together again. I know you're a bit of a famous face where Agents Together is concerned. But the reason we're talking today is because you are a rarity, in fairness. I don't know whether you've ever been called that before, but ultimately, you have been on quite a special journey with Agents Together in that you started as a mentee and you now are a mentor, as well as still continuing to be a mentee. If my records are correct, you've actually got 2, or is it 3 mentees?
Three.
So you've got 3, so you're given an incredible amount of time. So thank you so much for that. But what we wanted to achieve today was just to find out a little bit more from you about how that journey's been and what your recommendations really would be to anybody who is thinking about being a mentor, being a mentee, or maybe being both, being a rare, joining you in the rare group. So first of all, can you just sort of tell me a little bit, very briefly, and for everybody who's watching, what's your experience been like as a mentee, first of all, because that's where it started?
Yeah, it was a really interesting experience. It was something that I'd never thought about in the slightest. From a brief conversation with Christopher Walken, originally, he mentioned Agents Together and about knowing what I was and the position I was in and my experience with it. He said it might be a really worthwhile opportunity. So maybe me, I thought I'd try it and signed up for it and jumped into it with both feet. I was lucky enough to have Benjamin Brain as a mentor. Since meeting him, it's been a fantastic experience. I've learned a lot and listened to somebody who's in a similar position as myself. And sometimes, well, no, actually all the time, it's really helpful and worthwhile to have somebody who's not going to really affect what your business does, but you're able to confide in, run things past and without any judgment or any prior idea of what you're trying to do. So it's really nice to have a sounding board. My position in my company, the way that it's set up, is that there's not often a lot of people that I would entrust to tell an idea to or speak to until it's fully ready and way to go. So having that as a sounding board has been a really huge help. And we actually laughed and joked about it recently because everything we set out to do, or I wanted to do in the first one, we kind of ticked the box and we've moved on already. So it's been really helpful. And it's nice just to get it out in the open sometimes because you can be so insular being a director. So it is really nice to have somebody to confide in and lay it out to, and obviously benefit from their experience.
I think, you make a really good point. It's very lonely in business at times, and ultimately, this is why we set up Agents Together, and specifically the mentorship scheme, was just so that there was somebody there to talk to bounce ideas off, to sort of get a bit of inspiration from, but also just a different perspective. Because sometimes you can take yourself, I know this having a business of my own, you can take yourself down a certain path. And it turns out that your judgment is perhaps being clouded because you may be a little bit too close to it. You're slightly emotionally connected. So I think that's a definite benefit that we've heard many people say about having a mentor. Also, though, it's important that this isn't just for business owners. In fact, far from it. It's for everybody in the industry. And I remember being a negotiator back in, I can't remember what year it was, but it was a long time ago. And I remember thinking my bosses were brilliant, my colleagues were great, I loved it. But sometimes having that outside influence would have been a real huge benefit to me in my career and my thinking and exploring ideas. So yeah, that's great. And I'm glad that that's what you're getting out of it. So Jonathan, obviously you were being mentored for a little while, and then you decided to become a mentor yourself. Tell me how that came about.
Again, Christopher Walken really had a bit of a part to play in that. Yeah, I did an interview after my first mentee experience then, and talked to yourselves about how it went and what came out of it. And my position is that obviously I started in a family business at the bottom rung, and I've done every role within the business. So I've learned and know what works in each role that works for me. And part of my employment strategy within Peter Morgan has been that we try and help as many people for apprenticeships, work experience, work placement schemes as possible. We always try and take people on over the summer for internships and things. I've had people who've gone on to work for large companies like Knight Frank and things that have been there. So it kind of fitted really well for what I wanted to do. And then I thought the idea of having the opportunity to not necessarily help people, but just listen and guide people. So if they've got an opportunity to speak to somebody, not in the pressure of their office, that really struck me a nice chord of something really good to do and give back, to enjoy. So I enjoy it anyway. You know, the development side and seeing people flourish is really nice, but we don't always get the chance to do that within our own firm. So if I can be an impartial guidance and help for somebody else, that's what really ticked the box. And then when I started doing it, it was quite addictive. And it was really nice seeing people doing well and going on and hitting their goals and their targets. And then before you know it, you end up with 3. So,
well, we're very grateful, and I'm sure your mentees are extremely grateful too. And you know, we only ever ask that whoever signs up in their volunteer capacity as a mentor, we only ever ask that you take 1. If you're willing to take 3, then fantastic, that's brilliant. But you're right, it is addictive. So I'm mentoring 2 people now, myself as well, and it's so rewarding. And we WhatsApp each other all the time, and we have we share ideas and articles and books, and you know, it really is just, it's kind of like having a buddy out there that isn't so close to everything that you do, and just gives you that, like I keep saying, you know, that different perspective. But that's fantastic that you're finding it so rewarding. It's so many people are saying the same thing. So many of our mentors are finding it rewarding.
It was really strange because a lot of the things that I talked about in my first mentee thing, then I've put into place, and now I'm speaking to my mentees about that, and that's been really interesting because it gives me it's a reality check as well, in the sense of that if I, you know, practice what you preach. So if I'm telling my mentees, look, this is what we want to be doing, this is the reason why, well then, you know, if I don't practice that myself, and what I found is by helping those, it's also helped me because it keeps me on track. So I've had a really, you know, busy and productive post on pre-lockdown in Wales. Obviously we had the second one a little bit before England, so in my target time we did a lot, and I think that's all down to having the clarity of telling others what to do and making sure I do it myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And from an industry perspective, I can only feel that this is going to be a great thing. The more sort of links that we have in these chains, as it were, not chains of property sales, but actually the chains of people, and helping each other, all sort of holding each other to some kind of account, raising each other up. And that's exactly what we wanted to achieve from Agents Together. So it's brilliant. I'm so pleased to hear that that's going well. So just finally, because we like to keep these relatively short so that we can keep our audience captive. How do you think being both a mentor and a mentee, so this rarity that we talk about, benefits you and those that you work with? I know you just said obviously a part of it there, but is there anything else, any other ways that it benefits you?
Yeah, the biggest thing that it's given me again is understanding and clarity. So a lot of the things that my mentees have raised and spoken to me about, I've never really considered that my staff might be feeling those things. They may be suffering the same problems, even though the areas are completely geographically different and the markets we operate in are different. Often the same issues are what they face, whether we come about it in a different way. So it's definitely given me a lot more patience and understanding, but also a lot more accountability with my staff. You know, check in with them all as regularly as I can. We have access via WhatsApp, Messenger, whichever way you want to. But yeah, that's the best thing. And I think it's definitely changed my approach. You know, like you said earlier yourself, you know, you get into this rabbit hole and you're going down it and you want to do everything yourself. But what I found is it's given me the patience and the understanding to let other people try things too. And I've come up trumps. My team have been fantastic this year. We've had a really good year through a difficult time. And I think by giving them that little bit of room, which Agents Together made me realize that other people want to do as much as well, that's definitely helped. So I would say that's the biggest impact it's had on us.
That's absolutely brilliant. I speak to a lot of mentors on a weekly basis, and not nearly as many as our relationship manager Sam speaks to. But when I do speak to people, nearly always the feedback is, 1, that it's rewarding, but 2, that big point you've just made there, which is the learning that both the mentor takes from it. As much as the fact that they're sort of helping their mentees, they're actually learning themselves, which sounds exactly like the experience that you've had as well. So that's absolutely brilliant. Well, all I would say is thank you, Jonathan. You are giving out an incredible amount of your time for Agents Together, and we're so grateful. We truly are. And I would just say that if anybody is thinking about wanting to find out more, then you can just visit the Agents Together website. It's agentstogether.co.uk. All the information that you need is on there. You can have a look around, you can look at some reviews, and then, sign up and see, give it a go. There's some skepticism with all things, but it's worth giving a go, isn't it, Jonathan? Do you think?
100%. It'd be the best thing you do this year.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for your time.
No problem at all. Take care. Bye.